Hunt's artillery. We are not quite at Malvern House yet. It is straight ahead of me, a couple of 100 yards down that lane as I face mostly east. So we as a group are assembled about where it says reserve artillery on that map. So north, that way. Flip it over and look at the other map, which has no troops on it, but is very handy. This is the best map I know of for the historic terrain. By historic, of course, in my world that always means the Civil War. I'm not pretending that the 1700s aren't historic as well, but for me, I'm talking about the Civil War. And this map was surveyed in 1865 by Union engineers. Is the best thing we have to show what the landscape looked like a century and a half ago. And if you look a little bit left of dead center, you can see Malvern House, and right below that it says B.F. Drew, which is a mistake for B.F. Dew, D-E-W. He was the wartime owner of this property, Benjamin F. Dew. So we are just a little bit west of that, and there's the road that Parker was mentioning. You see it running east and west, north of the house, and then taking a sharp north turn to go toward the top of your map and the more conventional crest of Malvern Hill, the part of the property that you're accustomed to going to when you go visit the battlefield, the Park Service part of the property. And if you look at the very top, you can even see those two houses up there, the Crew House and the West House, which are right on the crest of Malvern Hill, and which are the landmarks that we always point to when we're giving talks and tours at the top of Malvern Hill. Make sure you notice, and you'll refer to this several times, make sure you look for the trees. You might have to look hard to find them. As Parker and several others were saying before the tour even began, this hill was heavily farmed. Trees and farms don't always mix well. If you look toward the upper left, you certainly will see trees down in the bottom, but you can also see the hatcher lines that show elevation south of the Crew House. Those are the Malvern Cliffs, and there's just one or two little groves of trees there, but you're looking at 600-700 acres of barren farmland at the time of the Civil War. So the sight lines would have been way better than today, even if the corn wasn't here. The sight lines were historically better.
And Bob, I'm going to just offer real quick, if you all are familiar with Robert Smeaton's diary, anybody familiar with that?
Yep.
That the Virginia Historical Society owns it. He produced probably a dozen watercolors of this property. I've got some, they're not great images, but you can see, if you want to come close, what Malvern Hill basically looked like at the time of the battle, where there were no trees and a lot of troop movement. A lot of troop movement.